Hi! This time I'm going to talk about the finale of the Dark and Terrible campaign. If you haven't seen it, please check out the Dark and Terrible playlist. It's going to be in the description below. It was a pretty interesting session because of many things that happened. I have yet to rewatch it completely, but yes, it's quite clear that from the very start, and based on my own memories of the session, it started out great with Crispy and Josh making their way through the tunnels. And of course, this video is going to contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, please check it out first, unless you don't mind the spoilers. They were very methodical. They were pretty much perfect in their advance, in their maneuvers throughout the tunnels. And I enjoyed the surprises quite a bit. I think they were not expecting that after they gave the clan of orcs the proof that they had avenged the rough-skinned orcs, because they gave the axe to the ranger, Idris, that's his name, to be delivered to the orcs so that they had proof of Crispy's and Killian's endeavors against the Scorched Hand orcs. They were not expecting, surely they were not expecting this force of orcs and gnolls coming to their aid, because the orcs, although they wanted to fulfill their oath under their need to prove their friendship, at least when it comes to orc friendship, to those that had assisted them in avenging their clanmates. They were also looking for an advantage against the Blood-Eye orcs and the Scorched Hand orcs. The same for the gnolls. The gnolls were allies of the Circle of 8 orcs, and they were also trying to see if they could establish a new base of operations or hitting the hideout of the Blood-Eye orcs. So they were just going into it to see what they would obtain in the process. But they are not as savage as other gnolls and other orcs. They are still quite rough, quite rough skin orcs, quite rough around the edges, but they are pretty nice in terms of savage humanoids, in my opinion. But then when Josh had those technical issues, his internet went down completely, and that was pretty jarring. When he first disappeared, I thought, well, it's okay. It's like when I got disconnected from StreamYard. It's going to be a similar thing, probably just a technical error of the site, and Josh is going to reconnect immediately. So you can see how Crispy and we kind of made this little pause, and we got into roleplay immediately to rescue the session. But then I started to receive Josh's messages through Discord. And I thought, oh no, Josh wouldn't message us unless it was something very important. But my computer, I was using this laptop that I borrowed from a relative. The computer that I am using for this video, this is my regular computer, my flat screen all-in-one computer. But the other one is a laptop that is better, although still quite inferior when compared to other laptops or computers. It is better than this one. And that's why I use it for the actual plays. And I thought, if I check out the messages through Discord sent by Josh, my computer is going to stutter or have some sort of seizure or something. So I was very careful trying to look at the messages with the mouse as I was describing and listening to Crispy, to his descriptions. And yes, it was quite the shock that Josh's internet had gone down. And I immediately, it's like time froze. Just like Wyatt Earp used to say, you need to take your time. The moment you start to think, your brain enters this hyper fast velocity processing speed, and you can figure out many things. And I started to make the connections, understand the branching paths. Everything that had to do with Killian being there, I had to modify it completely. And that's why when I came out with the idea of Killian already being quite psychically attuned, he kind of like faded into the ethereal realm or something because of the effects of this magical place, and because he drank the blood of Dagon, it could have some sort of, I thought, it's a logical weird effect, because combining the blood of Dagon with Killian's own psychic abilities and this weird alien other dimensional space, it's logical to think within that fantasy or fictional context that he suddenly phases out into the ethereal. But I still thought, but that isn't fair to Crispy, because he's going to be taking on the world by himself. He still had his orcs and his null allies and the henchmen. But it's still a single person. Two minds are usually better than one. Well, especially because when two people are intelligent, and Josh and Crispy are quite intelligent. So I thought Crispy needs like an advantage to represent Killian's involvement in the session. So that's when I decided that Killian was still helping, kind of like in ghost form. He made contact with those three hyper powerful individuals and communicating that Dagon was a lie. The campaign module that I used for this campaign is the A King for a Day campaign. Extremely complex but very fulfilling. More than 300 pages. There are so many options in that campaign to modify pretty much everything. They give you many ideas concerning the different good and bad endings. In fact, the default ending is a bad one. The way that the author wanted the campaign to end, they basically arrive to this place with the huge eye that is supposed to be Discordia, and they realize that they cannot win, so they end up killing themselves. You see, it's very bleak. So, but because they give you other ideas, the author gives you other ideas. I started to think, before we actually ran those sessions, I started to think of the happy endings, bad endings. And this was also implemented with my physical group, but I added a couple of more ramifications. So there was a way to obtain the happiest ending, like I mentioned that at the end of the session, if I remember correctly, by obtaining this maple branch or getting Lothian back into sanity. But overall, I think that Crispy did an amazing job on taking on the adventure by himself. This also proves that you can run a one-on-one session. And Crispy is much better when it comes to the players that I have played in the physical table one-on-one. Crispy always gets the ball rolling. I have mentioned this in another video where I gave tips on how to play one-on-one sessions, that I said, if you need to eliminate those moments of silence, the player should be describing his actions, his character's actions constantly, his mind process perhaps. So in the case of Crispy, he was always describing his actions. He was also trying to get us into his own mindset, like giving us the Esben's thought process. So that was great. Very challenging indeed. The ending was grim, dark, and bleak as expected. This menace was eliminated, but there is still this looming threat that there are some others that drank the blood of Dagon. So there is a chance that the cult may resurface. Despite the technical difficulties, that's another proof of roleplay. Roleplay solves everything. If there is any doubt when it comes to your sessions, either related to the rules, either related to some sort of outside factor, like the internet connection going down, or if you play in real life, maybe someone needs to leave the session because of an emergency, handle everything through roleplay, and you will find a solution. Once again, thank you to Josh and Crispy for playing in this long campaign. I would love to know your own thoughts and comments on this. That is, everyone, let me know your own thoughts on how things proceeded. Everything is welcome when it comes to constructive criticism. Maybe you spotted something like, oh, you know what? I would have handled the Killian situation in this other way. For example, maybe by I actually thought about that, taking control of Killian, but I think it would be somewhat of a disservice against Josh's amazing characterization of the character, and it was going to be more how would you say, even more complex for me. I was already figuring out all of those connections, ongoing situations, the reactions, the positioning of the non-player characters, because like I said, it's a very complex campaign. You have like 200 potential side quests and agendas and hidden motives. I had to take all of that into consideration, especially this area below the earth, the Palace of Wonders and the Leaks to Nowhere. That's the name. Those are the names. They are places where time and space, they are constantly bending, shifting. The depth of perception is affected. Another cool thing, this is somewhat unrelated to what I was talking about a few seconds ago, but just take a look at how Crispy handled the situation with the statue. He saw this statue and he immediately devised a plan to try to affect the statue in some way to reveal a passageway. Just compare it to those awful actual plays where someone they find a statue and they're like, can I manipulate the statue in some way? Can I actually approach the statue? What's the shape of the statue? Horrible, immersion breaking. So incredible, great job on the part of Crispy. So once again, thank you for watching my videos. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.